Welcome to the Roundtable, everybody. I'm so excited that you're here. If you're listening to us on the Broadway Podcast Network, watching us on Broadway World or on social media, you know that this show is a messy, sloppy, messy podcast where I don't know what I'm doing. Some people are very good at podcasting. They edit it, they prepare it, they have a script, they have proper guests. Our next guest has like very famous people, like Tony winning, award winning, superstar people on her podcast, and she's come to slum it with me in this messy time together. And I like Deb because I just met Deb for 1 second, and Deb's my kind of people. Deb Winer is here, and she's a middle-aged woman, and she's got her middle-aged superhero women. And this year, we're going to save democracy, especially this November. I've listened to a couple of episodes, and they're all coming out, so we're going to get the whole scoop. Deb Winer, welcome to the show.
Robert, thank you for having me. It's great. I've never been introduced as a middle-aged woman before, but I'm proud of that.
You called, middle Flash Force, which is what we're talking about, is called Middle-Aged Women Superheroes Save Democracy.
That's right.
Can I, as a person in this world, can I ask you what age does middle age start in your opinion?
Well, here's the thing. I read this really interesting sort of scientific type study, an article talking to people, and they decided that, you don't know where it starts. I mean, some of us are always, infants at heart, but people were saying that, now the upper limits of middle age is like 80. Because everybody's living a healthy life, and I call it people in their prime.
I like that.
Yeah, it's people who are old enough. I'd say it's somewhere between old enough to know better and can't quite get around anymore.
So I asked this because I turned 40 this year.
And congratulations, you're middle-aged.
I'm middle-aged.
How do you like it so far?
My knees hurt, but
yeah.
But I mean, I feel better than ever because you know what I realized at 40, you really don't care much about what people think anymore.
That's what I learned that I used to always seek out the company and fellowship of these really fantastic older mentor kind of people in our business that I had the privilege of, being taken under the wing of, if that's English. People like Mary Rogers, people like Rosemary Clooney, people like, who had lived a long time, like Marge Champion, and, Julie Wilson, Barbara Cook. And, here's the thing, when I was just a tot, I was a relative tot. I was soaking up the stories, and Sheldon Harnick, who just left us at 99, was just a most wonderful mentor and extra dad to me. And the thing that I learned about people who've been around is that they've been around. There isn't anything that they haven't seen, and there comes with that a lessening of caring what other people think. You're not and I remember being very young and looking at those people going, I want to be like that. I want to get to the place where I don't care what, I'm not so focused on how I'm appearing. And I think that's something that, so my idea, I had this idea during the pandemic. During the pandemic, I walked 7 miles a day with the fabulous Broadway actress Emily Skinner, and we bubbled with each other, and to keep each other and ourselves from going nuts, we did this walk pretty much most days of the week, and it came out of the idea that Marvel Comics announced that they were going to start making Broadway musicals. And I had like 5 different friends go, oh, well, if there's going to be superheroes on Broadway, my career's over. And everybody was calling me that. And I said, no, what we need is middle-aged women superheroes, because that's who's going to save democracy. And that's how the idea was born. And first of all, the idea of middle-aged women superheroes made me laugh, because I think that superheroes should be middle-aged women, because and these women. So the premise of this, the the podcast, which is called Flash Force. It's not like an informational interview podcast like you do. It is it's a radio adventure comedy drama. It's a comedy. It's satirical. It's a satirical radio style adventure drama about a band of Broadway theater women who are in their 12th year of group therapy. And they have an octogenarian therapist and an unfortunate accident that happens in the Columbia University physics lab next door. And they find themselves transformed into superheroes that very day. And they are tasked with saving democracy. And so that's the premise, all while pursuing personal growth. So their octogenarian therapist is named Frieda, as she would be. And she has a bottomless plate of Jewish pastries from Zabar's. And she's always saying, here, darling, we'll talk about the next week. Have a rugula. And Frieda is played by Judy Blazer. And the superheroes, or these women in a helplessness therapy group for 12 years are Kecia Lewis and Emily Skinner, Karen Ziemba, Nancy Opel, and Donna Lynne Champlin. And an unfortunately present cat that just had an expensive dental surgery, who is transformed by accident because he is in the crate in the room, and he becomes a very surly French-speaking, talking, flying cat named Claude. And so their therapist becomes their superhero oracle, and they are sent off to destroy an evil world dominating organization called ORWELL, which is bent on destroying democracy worldwide by sowing disinformation, division, and hate. And the Trumps and the Putins are all foot soldiers of ORWELL, and ORWELL has infiltrated pretty much every government on earth. So, when I wrote this, Mark Waldrop directed it. Mark Waldrop, the fabulous director who, among other things, wrote and directed When Pigs Fly. And when we first worked on this, we did 3 Zoom readings over the pandemic with all the actors, and we were just laughing ourselves silly. And it's just kind of become, now when you say what the plot is, it's not as far-fetched as it was 3 years ago. So we have, super villains. Lucie Arnaz plays the guest villain named Natasha, the wife of the money launderer. And of course, the money launderer therefore has to be named Boris, who's played by Jason Graae. And the flying cat is played by Kevin Isola. It's really fun. We've got, actual dyed-in-the-wool superhero music written by Nathan Scalzone, and he did sound design and editing, as did April Tucker. So we've got this cool, it's a cool theater communal project.
Deb, but see, that's what I was saying in the introduction. Like, you have directors and original music, and you have like actors and a script. And like, this is like a television show podcast. And I love this genre of podcast, because sometimes I get bored of hearing myself interview people that are amazing. But this is a story that you could follow with voices and comedy and joy.
Thank you. Thank you. I wrote it, of course, but the idea is that I love podcasts and I love listening to interview podcasts, but I suddenly, and certain other people have done this in terms of audio drama. I think it never went away in Britain. And of course it used to be it used to be for TV. It used to be this. And I just loved the idea of doing a real drama, in this case, comedy, but a real story with real actors. It's theater. It's theater. It's sound theater.
Yes. See, that is what I am just excited about it and listening to it. And the episodes are coming out weekly. So they're not all out yet.
No, you gotta wait for the cliffhangers, Robert,
Oh,
and see what happens. Yeah, no, we dropped the first two just last week, and we've been so pleased. It's had such a really lovely reception. But yeah, we dropped episodes 1 and 2, which is really the setup, and we just dropped episode 3 yesterday, and there's 3 more. It's a season 1, and we're already planning season 2.
well, where can we could go to your website, which is deborahgracewiner.com.
Well, please, this is wherever you get your podcasts. It's Apple and Spotify and YouTube and iHeart, and Podbean is the actual host, the host platform. But yeah, wherever it's on all podcast platforms, and
We're
yeah.
just going to Google Schmoogle Flash Force, and you will find the episodes, and then they come out every single Wednesday, like you said, and then you just follow along and star it and like it and subscribe, so you get the notification that when the new episodes come out, so that you're reminded every Wednesday, so that we can get to the end of this before season 2 comes out. Deb, you are quite an accomplished person yourself besides this podcast. I mean, you've written a lot of books, a lot of worked with a lot of people, worked at the 92nd Street Y for a long time, done, you presided over a million original shows. You've done things at American Songbook and Musical Theater. You've collaborated with Jazz at Lincoln Center, but you've written like actual books, Deb.
Sure. No, that's true. I have. I've written a few books on the American Songbook, which I did mostly when I was younger. And I'm a playwright and theater artist by training, and so I work in books and musicals, and a lot in musical theater. A lot of what I do has kind of fallen into the creating reviews and concert style work, which I've done. And I didn't actually work at the 92nd Street Y. I was artistic director of their Lyrics and Lyricists series, which is their Venerable series, which was a freelance gig and a joy while I was doing it. And I did that for 10 years. And now I'm collaborating with Jazz at Lincoln Center. As you said, we have a bi-monthly American Songbook series at Dizzy's Club called Songbook Sundays, which has just been it's like a jam party we do every other month, which is so much fun.
I went to one. I went to one.
You did?
I sure did. I went to one and had a blast. I mean, I went to one and had a blast. So that is an amazing night on a Sunday night in New York City to go see a show, and go the most beautiful place to see a show. One of the most beautiful places is over there at Jazz at Lincoln Center. And then I just am fascinated about your love for the Great American Songbook, to the point where, when people who do cabaret, when people love these songs and they try to stay alive forever, sometimes a lot of the very famous artists have a lot of work written about them, but you have and they were also very famous, but you've given stories about Dorothy Fields, or written books about Rosemary Clooney and Barbara Cook and Julie Wilson, and things that people who love these songs that live forever, we don't always get these accounts and these full biographies, because sometimes at the time of their lives, they may not have had the opportunity or platform. How do you find these information? Like, are you like a writing detective? Are you scared? I'm so scared of the blank little blinking Word document.
Oh, yeah.
Start,
well,
right?
It sort of depends. I mean, with all those women, I knew those women, so I got my information by talking to them. In terms of writing, it's like, I mean, I'm a playwright. That's what we do, and so that blank page can either be frightening, or it can be like the greatest opportunity. I mean, with Flash Force, I sort of thought of it as improvisational writing, because anybody who listens to it will see that it's so intrinsically ridiculous on purpose. It's satiric and ironic, and just as ridiculous as we could make it. It owes a little bit to Rocky and Bullwinkle and the 60s Batman and Twilight Zone and original Mission Impossible and all of that kind of rolled together. And we've got like a real live John Williams-ish superhero theme, as well as that kind of 1960s spy TV steel guitar music. And so it's all about style. And I thought of it as improvisational writing. So I had so much fun writing these 6 episodes. It was really freeing. And to me, look at Shakespeare in his day, because there wasn't a huge institutional theater, and not many not-for-profits back in the day. he had his troupe of people, and he just wrote. He wrote for the people, either big scene chewing historical dramas or tragedies or comedies, and he used his troupe, and they were all the leading actors of the day, and they all figured it out. And in this day where, you know, I'm not telling tales out of school, that the arts are in kind of a pickle, and it's not like everybody's getting piles of cash for everything we do. And nor are there opportunities, nor are there that many opportunities for middle-aged women who are the top actors in our business. So I think that the idea of this was a real communal effort. It was something that we did, all of us together, out of joy, to create something out of nothing. And if that's not a definition for theater, you know, I don't know what is. And now there's this great medium of doing this for the world on a podcast.
I love it. Firstly, we love so many of if you have not seen Kecia Lewis on Broadway and what she's doing right now, it is insane. I mean, everyone loves Lucie Arnaz. Everyone loves Karen Ziemba. We love Emily Skinner here. She's been on this show before. We love Linda Purl, who her new album is gorgeous. You know, we love the people that you have on your program, and we are excited to hear them all work together collaboratively. It's as timely as ever, Deb.
Thank you. That was our intention, and again, it became more timely. We thought we were lampooning things that actually became more true. And Linda Purl is so great because she plays the arch villain who is going to come back in season 2. But the name of her character is called the Woman with the Great Boots. She's the arch villain, their arch nemesis.
We love Linda Purl here on this show, and we are going to have Linda Purl on the show when the season when the next season comes out. Deb, we may bring Linda Purl and you back. Maybe
please do. Please, yes, that would be great. She's great, and you know, she's going to be doing a 54 Below evening in October, so you can have her back anytime. But yes, definitely season 2.
I'm a Happy Days fan. I'm a fan of what you do. I love original writers. I don't have an original written word in my whole body. Well, I shouldn't say that because I'm sure I wrote my master's dissertation, but you know,
and you're doing this podcast, so that's pretty original.
But nothing's written, so
unscripted TV.
Right, there you go. It's improv life. But what I will say is that writing this and the work that it takes to get a group of people like this together and direct it and have music and edit, no one understands. Video editing is one thing, Deb, but when you don't see it and you have to edit those little breaths and those little takes and those little moments and make the timing right, it's very time consuming. To do podcasting well is much harder than people think. And your first 2 episodes that I listened to are pretty spot on, fantastic.
Thank you. Well, we had the privilege of having April Tucker as well as Nathan Scalzone, but April works for network television and as an audio editor and sound designers. So we had the privilege of just having this family of people, and each one is an expert in what they do, come together out of just a sense of fun and wanting to make something. So we are the luckiest company in the world. It's called, by the way, our company is called the All-Star Broadway Repertory Company, which is a state of mind like Prairie Home Companion. But I created the Broadway All-Star Repertory Company, and everyone involved with this is in it.
Well, I'm sold, and I'm obsessed with the whole thing, and I will be listening to all the other episodes. I got to listen to 3, and then we'll be waiting for 4, 5, and 6 as they come out. And we can find it wherever you listen to your podcast. So if you're a Spotify or an Apple or an iHeartRadio podcast, wherever you listen, make sure all you have to do is look for Flash Force. And as we roll into November and the world gets crazier and this roller coaster we're on just takes unexpected turns, twists, and drops, it's good to have something that's mindful and important, but also fun and entertaining.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you so much for having me.
We need that, Deb, more than ever. Because sometimes when I turn on CNN or whatever you listen to, whatever people watch, I'm like, the made up stuff is not as crazy as the world we're living in.
Yeah, I've decided that I am about ready to deal with the world through allegory and comedy, because yeah, it's one can only hope. I wish that I could just enable this flash force to just unleash them on real life and deal with it that way.
Well, I'd put the earth and the democracy in the future's hands in middle-aged women anytime, because if you want something done, ask a woman to do it.
Damn right. That's that's I've been talking. Yes, damn right. I could not agree. If we gave this to middle-aged, and look what's happening now, we've got a middle-aged woman maybe saving democracy.
Literally.
We hope.
I sure do hope. Deb, you could come anytime. My show is your show. I'm so excited to have met you and talked to you.
Thank you. What a privilege and an honor. Thanks. I'd love to come back sometime.
Yes, please. All the time. Whenever you have something new and exciting to talk about. Flash Force is now out. Listen to it wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll be looking for the rest of the episodes. And we already are ready for season 2, Deb. So we're ready. Get that blank page
awesome
going.
Just for you. Absolutely. Thanks, Robert.